Mellow man Ace, what up, man?
Man, thank you. Yeah, everything is good, man. Since we last spoke,
Yeah.
everything's on track.
So I got to thank you because that video that you were on is literally to this day, I don't know what it is about it, but it's my highest rated, most downloaded, most viewed video since I've been doing this for 9 years. So
Don't
I just got to
gas
thank
me
you,
up
homie.
now. Don't
I'm
gas
telling
me
you,
up now.
I have K Solo in next week. I'm telling him the same thing. I'm just like, he's right on your tail, but there's no way. Not just I don't know what it is, but people love your story, and,
That's
and
amazing.
yeah, it was a dope interview, man. I'm glad to have you back.
Thank you.
But
Bro.
we have
Good
you
to be
back,
back.
for a specific reason. You called me not too long ago with a dope ass story, and I'm gonna let you take it from here because it all involves your first time on my show.
Like I said on your show when we did the interview, I was inspired when I first started emceeing and rhyming by primarily two MCs that don't get a lot of credit. One was the Equation, Ram LZ, and then the other was a brother by the name of Mr. Schick of a group called the Mean Machine, and Puerto Rican brother. And that's where I first heard Spanish rap. So ever since I started touring, which was 1989, 90-ish, in there, 1990, whenever I go to New York, especially the Bronx, I would ask people like DJ Charlie Chase and the Awesome 2 and even Red Alert if they knew the whereabouts of this Mr. Schick, because I wanted to personally thank him, because when his rhymes in Spanish, when they first came out, he had a small little part on a song called Disco Dream. That was kind of what showed me my path in life, right? So I always wanted to thank this brother. Now you remember that record that Mean Machine put out came out in 1981. So now it's 1990. 9 years later, I want to thank this guy personally. Nobody could tell me where he's at in the Bronx. I've sat in on mix shows with cool DJ Red Alert. I've rocked parks in Brooklyn with DJ Charlie Chase. I've hung out in the Bronx doing PS54, people in places like that with brothers like Diamond D and people like that, and running in the Bronx with the Awesome 2. Nobody could tell me the whereabouts of Mr. Schick. So I kind of hit a lot of roadblocks with that and trying to find him. So over the years, I've been, ever since, and every time I went back, of course, I've always asked, where's Mr. Schick? Who knows what's up? And at first I thought people were just trying to keep me away from him for whatever reason, or maybe he had passed on. And nobody really wanted to just let me know, hey man, the brother died, wooty bam. But that wasn't the case. And then when Facebook and Instagram and even I'll take it a little further, MySpace came about, I was looking for this Mr. Schick. I didn't know his government name or anything like that. I didn't really look on those Sugar Hill vinyls like that. You know what I mean? It was more of a thing that I'm gonna find this brother, thinking that Mr. Schick would be the name to find him under. Well, lo and behold, now 28 years later, I do the interview with you, and we're gonna fast forward a lot of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because there's so many years of looking for this
Still
brother.
literally looking for him.
Literally. So please understand when I say I'm really looking for this brother, I'm really looking for this brother, because he showed me my path in life, and I think that's very important. If you have a mentor or somebody that doesn't know you're his mentor, I think it's important to give it up and give credit where credit is due. I've always been wired that way, and I think it's from my old school type of upbringing, from the first class of hip hop, the forefathers and whatnot. Anyway, make a long story short, we do the interview with you, and one day on Instagram, Mr. Schick's cousin, Cato Rivera, happens to tag me on a picture of, it's me, Kazal, and my boy Daryl there, and it's the caption from your show. I know it right away.
Okay.
And he goes, yo, I just want to thank Mellow Man Ace for bigging up my cousin, Mr. Schick, Danny Rivera, for his, for his contributions to music. So instantly, of course, I pushed like, and I went right to this guy's page.
ASAP.
I don't know. He tagged me. He wasn't following me. I wasn't following him.
Yeah.
But he tagged my name, and that was enough. And so then I go right into his inbox. I'm like, "Yo, bro, seriously, you're Mr.
Don't
Schick's
fuck with me."
relative? Yeah, don't fuck with me, kid. Like, seriously, I've been looking for this dude for 28 years at least. I mean, not even counting the 9 years that since 81.
Yeah.
Let's not even count that. Those were just accolades years of me just in awe of this man's work.
Damn.
Okay, so he says, "Yeah, bro, no bullshit. I'll even put you in contact with him if you want." I'm like, "If I want?" I'm like, "Yo,
stop everything." Shit.
Yeah. No. Come on, send me this number,
Yeah.
B. Send me the number. And sure enough, he goes, "Okay, let me talk to him, make sure that it's cool with him and everything." So he does. Later that evening, he sends me the number. I thanked the guy really quick, kept it short, called the number. And sure enough, it was Mr. Schick. And I knew because only he could speak the way he spoke about certain things that happened in that chronological order of hip hop at that particular time.
Yeah.
And the for instances that he was talking about label scenarios with Sylvia Robinson, who owned Sugar Hill, the way he spoke about the group members and knew about their whereabouts or their passings on and whatnot, let me know that this was a credible guy.
Yeah.
So then, after we spoke, of course, we exchanged information, Facebooks and Instagrams. He doesn't even do Instagram. He got a Facebook. So I went over there to make sure, and lo and behold, man, it's Mr. Schick of the Mean Machine.
Yeah.
So I called you right away.
Yeah.
To tell you, yo, Arnold, man, like, you're not going to believe this, but because of that interview, I got to thank you because it led me to my mentor.
That shit gave me chills, guys. That's a 1 in 9 billion chance that you guys connected just off this.
Yeah.
That's dope, dude. That's
And
dope.
this is a 28-year at least search for this man. So I'm happy to be here and knowing that we're about to call him and get him on the line and have him on the Gully TV show.
Love it, baby. Yeah, go ahead and give him a call, Dre, and let's talk to Mr. Schick of the Mean Machine.
The Mean Machine.
Hip hop pioneer.
Wepa,
y nada más.
Y la gente de Aliante está caliente. Yeah.
Dude,
all that.
I'm telling you, man, I'm excited about this because I'm a hip hop nerd. I'm a hip hop history nerd.
Same here.
Specifically history when it's involved. So I can't wait to hear some of the stories. I have some specific questions because I want to know what it was like back then, man.
Absolutely.
The record game was so different back. It was different when you were in there in the 90s.
These guys didn't even have so much as a beeper.
Exactly.
And got it in. Okay?
There it is.
So here we go.
Yeah.
You want to greet him or should I greet him?
Go for it.
All right.
You do it.
Hello?
Mr. Schick, ¿qué pasa?
What's going on, brother?
Mr. Schick, your brother Mellow Man right here. Your little brother Mellow Man Ace here. We are live and direct with you. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And I want to introduce you to my comrades here. Of course, Arnold Sullivan is here, Gully TV.
Good to see you. Good to talk to you. Good to talk to you, Mr. Schick.
And my son
Good to talk
Kazal,
to you too, brother.
no doubt, my son Kazal Organism is also here, taking proof of this history right here.
Yes.
And brother, I just want to say it's a pleasure to have you on. And we've been talking off the record, you and I'm almost come to know you a little bit personally, and it's been a wonderful last 2 weeks getting to know you, brother. And with that said, I'm gonna let Arnold take over. He has a series of questions for you, and I'll jump in from time to time. But thank you for being on the show.
All right. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And it's an honor for me to, talk with you guys tonight.
Cool. And thank you so much for your contribution to this art form that I love and that I've given so much for.
Word.
All right. Let's start from the beginning, Mr. Schick. Before we even got into hip hop, can you explain to everyone what it was like back then, growing up in New York, specifically the Bronx?
Before the hip hop scene, or
I mean, just your experience growing up in the Bronx.
Well, growing up in the Bronx, you had your gangs, you had your poverty-stricken neighborhoods, what everybody knows to and refers to as the ghettos, and that's basically where the Hispanics and blacks were. And I'm a pretty slim guy. I was always slim. And growing up in schools, I was always small. When I say small, I mean I was normal height, but a little skinny kid. But the difference between me and a lot of the guys was I was pretty smart. So I knew that in order to survive, I had to make friends with the big guys. And so a lot of times that's what I growing up, befriended the big guys, and that was my survival skills,
Yeah. Now, explain to everyone the first time you got introduced to hip hop, and if you can give us just a history lesson of the transfusion from the disco era to the funk era, and how that all morphed into this thing we call hip hop.
Yeah, I mean, it came a time in the early 70s where, disco, I'll start it from there, where disco was like at the top. And as it started fading out, there was a lot of things going on in the streets, people just playing music, coming up with their systems. And it was just like, it was crazy because now, in today's times, you couldn't do that. You couldn't bring out a system and plug it into, plug your system into like the street lamppost or a building, like an apartment building or something.
Now, what year was that for you?
Man, that was like, I'd say somewhere in the mid-70s or something like that.
Yeah.
You gotta forgive me, man. I'm 60 years old, so
It's all
my
good.
mind is in the sharp, But yeah, it was in the 70s, I'm guessing mid-70s or something.
Okay, 74,
and,
75 in there.
It could be,
Okay.
give or take a year or two.
Okay.
But and a lot of people, it wasn't necessarily like with the hip hop that you come to know today.
Yeah. Right.
People were playing a lot of beats, a lot of break beats, a lot of.
Now, were you ever at a Cool Herc jam at Sedgwick and Cedar?
No, I never went to a Cool Herc jam. I lived in those areas, in a lot of the areas where it all began. So I was living it in the street. Whenever they were doing it in the street, and that was almost every weekend, people were just jamming all over the street. Before, and this was in the early stages where people would just, their rhymes were like super elementary.
Now, is this around the same time that the Bronx is burning and the buildings are burning down? The shiesty landowners, the building owners were burning their buildings?
Pretty much. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think all that started a little bit before, but
right in '68. In '68.
And it was crazy, man. It was crazy because you had buildings that were partially burned. So you had abandoned apartments, and then you had people living in other apartments of that burnt building. And sometimes you even had like people living in some of those empty, like halfway burnt joints. And and when I say living, I'm just saying, people that were just hanging out in the streets and didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, it's sort that you described there sort of reminds me of that scene in the TV show in Netflix when they did the Get Down Brothers, and you have the guy who the DJ who was taught by Grandmaster Flash, right? He lives in this abandoned building, and he's teaching the younger dudes how to do the routines that you guys were basically coming up with in real time. It was amazing. So I'm sorry to interrupt there, but yeah.
Yeah, correct. And I remember that scene too, because I didn't know. Like I said, I've been away from the scene for a long time, and ever since I moved to South Carolina. So, but one of the guys in the group, Julio, told me about the Get Down, and he goes, "Man, you need to watch it." And I said, "All right, I'll give it a shot." And I started watching it.
Probably brought back a lot of memories, huh?
Yeah, man, I just binge watched it till the end.
Well, Mr. Schick,
yeah.
I have to say this because it came to my mind, but I think it's noteworthy here. Now, before everything turned into what we know as hip hop, there was supposedly a meeting of all the New York City gangs, that all the heads of all the New York City gangs, right, which is
like
where we
Warriors?
get the movie The Warriors from,
Shit.
right?
Okay.
This really happened in real life, and they give the credit to Africa Bambaataa for being that person, but I know for a fact that it was a brothers called the Ghetto Brothers, a band of Puerto Rican brothers with some Morenos in it, some brothers in it, like Black Benji, rest in peace.
Yeah,
Also
yeah.
Karate Charlie and Yellow Benji were the Puerto Rican brothers who started the Ghetto Brothers because one of their black brothers got killed. They decided to call the truce with all the gangs, and it was them who really have been the unsung heroes of hip-hop. Would you attest to this?
Well, me not ever being in any of those meetings or whatever, I can't say 100% sure, but that was the word out in the street.
Damn.
You know?
That's right. We're looking at it right now on the big screen.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know how it is when you live in the ghettos, word's out in the street. And a lot of times that word gets out quicker than any telephone could possibly. And what you described, I believe it could be true, just because that was the word out in the street. And then again, there's a lot of people claim a lot of things, or not necessarily the people claim a lot of things, but fans of people sometimes
Romanticize that a little bit.
Yeah, they turn the story, and before you know it, it gets down to the other side, and it's a little different and bigger and more. They build it up. So I don't.
What if I told you that you could go on YouTube now and type in the Ghetto Brothers, and it'll eventually lead you to the actual city meeting with all the gang heads and some of the city dignitaries. Yeah. And it's right there. And
see that.
there's a city councilman guy or city guy there who actually uses the term warriors in that gathering after they told the cops to get out and whatnot. And I started to have to put two and two together to equal this 4. And after the Africa Bambaataa scandal that has broken wide since 2016, I really had to repair my own mental hip hop aspect, if you will, like what hip hop meant to me all over again, because I even raised my kids on Mean Machine, on hip hop, on Zulu Nation, on Nation of Gods and Earths, and all these principles, identities, and sciences. And I had to refine that love again because I was so crushed, right? And so I had to do the knowledge to find the right information all over again. And I'm glad that I did, because it led me to the Ghetto Brothers. And it helped me to find you, I think, with the energy and gravitational pull that the universe provided for us to bring us together.
Let me get back in, because I definitely want to, because we could be here all day going through every detail of hip hop. Trust me, like literally, I could be here all day. This could be a 4-hour conversation, but I really want to go more along the lines of the chronological, what he experienced with hip hop specifically, and I guess like who are some of the people that you listened to growing up that started to get you into this art form?
Well, the thing before records or anything, well, of course, at home. I listened to gospel because my mom was a Christian, so that's all that she played in the house. And then, of course, you had R&B, you had salsa music, you had the Funny All-Stars, and a lot of those cats that were big Latin artists. My father had a grocery store, so across the street, they used to come and go into this basement. So they always stopped at my father's store. So I got to meet a lot of famous, Spanish artists because they used to go there for Santeria, in the basement. And so they'd come out, man, and they'd always, give me little presents. And I was like, holy cow, man, this guy, later on people would tell me that's so-and-so, because I didn't know at first what they looked like. I only heard them.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, then this cat, Patato, he was a conguero. And
What's that?
what's that?
Oh, on the Congos.
Percussion.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He was a famous conga player.
Gotcha.
And he just threw me this brand new whistle. And I looked at it, it looked like a cross. And I asked him, what's this? He goes, in Spanish, he tells me that's a whistle. That's a LP whistle, a Latin percussion whistle. And I said, oh, cool. So I started playing with it. And it was a whistle that gave me 3 notes. So I started playing with it. Then the other guys in the group liked it. So, Julio bought one. And, I used that whistle in shows sometimes. I used it in the record.
Yep, that whistle has a very specific sound in hip hop.
I still have it today because it was that present came from somebody that was big in the Spanish music, so I just treasured it.
Did you have the black one or the gold one?
I had the gold one.
There it is.
Nice. And then from Black Benji, he gave me this. He came to my father's store, and we used to talk because I'm behind the counter, so I got to know him pretty good. He was a pretty nice guy, but I saw him whip out this wallet, and it was back then I was young, so I was like, man, that's a nice wallet. The wallets that the motorcycle guys carry with the chain.
Oh yeah.
And I said, man, I really like that. Next thing you know, next day he comes to the store, buys. He always bought his beer before going home, and he just threw a brand new wallet. And I had it till about a few years ago because it was falling apart.
Wow.
Tell us what you remember about Sugar Hill Records around that time, because Sugar Hill Gang, I think they released the song in '79, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Give us an idea, because that was kind of around the time, a couple years prior to when you guys had your hit. Give us an idea of what was going on in hip hop, and specifically with Sugar Hill Records and Sugar Hill Gang. And
before that record came out, I mean, there was groups all over the street, and tapes being made, cassette tapes, and you'd go to like you had your regular taxi, and then you had what we call OJs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with OJ.
Nah, what is it? What's that?
OJ.
Okay. Like you hear it, and you even hear it in Hank. But he goes, I can't fit them all the time.
My OJ, so I just take half and bust them out and get the rest of Master G. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So an OJ was really it was a poor man's cat. In other words, I call it a poor man's cat, but maybe that's the wrong word. What it was, say, I'm me, and I want to hustle to, make a few dollars on the side. I have a luxury car. Say I had a caddy, so I would taxi my caddy for an hourly rate, and that was called an OJ because back then OJ Simpson had a commercial.
That's right.
For the rental cars. I don't know if you remember OJ and the rental cars.
Yeah, jumping through the airport and over Hertz and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where the term OJ came.
Okay. Huh.
Oh wow! All right.
All right. So back to Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah. So then everybody, those OJs, they would have the tapes of all these Grandmaster Flash, Cold Crush Brothers, the Fantastic Romantic Five, all these cats, or sometimes they would have like these bootleg tapes from clubs that the guys were performing at or whatever, or street party. And it all started like that, and those tapes started spreading around. But anyway, then all of a sudden, Sugar Hill Gang throws that record out, and everybody was shocked. I mean, like, whoa, what the heck is this? You know, and next thing you know, word is out that Hank had Casanova Fly's
Notebook, right?
lyrics.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, that he managed them, the pizzeria deal, all this stuff. And
Conspiracy
that was
theory.
that. So there was a lot of hate for them.
Ah.
And even though
That's why I always say never leave your rhyme book in the studio.
Yep.
Hey, and then, you know, it's sad because the other two guys, you know, they wrote their stuff, but because of one guy, all three of them paid the price in the beginning.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, is it true that the MCs in the Bronx? I'm sorry, Arnold.
Nope.
MCs
Go
in
ahead.
the Bronx
You're making my job
didn't
easier.
accept them as the first hip hop hit because they weren't necessarily from the Bronx. They were from Jersey.
They were from Jersey, except Hank. Hank was from the Bronx.
Got you.
And so, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Hank managed Cold Crush, or he was involved with them in some capacity, somehow, some way.
Okay.
And that may have been how he got a hold of Kaz's rhymes, you know?
Rest in peace, Big Bang Hank. By the way.
Yeah.
What about Sylvia Robinson? She has a very not too many people know her name, but she had so much to do with hip hop. What do you remember about her?
Man, there's good and there's bad.
Give it to
You
her.
know, and the thing about it is, you know, normally I've never really spoken bad about her.
Mm-hmm.
And because really the only one in the group that ever spoke up was Jimmy, you know, and but the good was that she opened the doors for, you know, for kids like all of us to have an outlet, you know, for our music. You know, whether she did it for selfish reasons,
Right.
you know, but it took a lot of us to places that we would have never, ever been, you know, growing up poor.
It was a new frontier, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us your interaction. Did you guys have a demo or anything like that before you met with her? Because I know before you guys ended up auditioning for her, correct?
Yeah. We, well, with her, you know, they wanted once Julio and Jimmy made contact with her, they told them to come back and with the demo. And so I had told the guys that I'm not going to put my lyrics on a cassette tape and just hand it over.
Oh, wow.
Because by that time I had already started rapping in Spanish.
Okay.
And so I said, you know, I'm not going to put no Spanish lyrics on this. And then all of a sudden, you know, we're out the door. They keep the tape.
Wow.
And somebody else is doing it. You know, so we went there with the tape, but the tape had no lyrics. And so we gave it to them. They put it in, and the music starts playing, but then they ask us, where's the lyrics? And so said, we're going to do it, you know, right here live.
Oh, okay.
And so then the music was playing. I ended up, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even think the other guys did any rapping. I just gave like a small little piece in Spanish. And, you know, everybody in the room was black except one white dude, a Jewish guy named Milton. And so they all started bobbing their heads, turned off the tape, and they told us that they're going to sign us to come back. I can't remember if she said next week or something like that, I think. And so that was it. And then we got signed, and then before we even had a song out, you know, she threw us on tour with Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, all these people. And
tell us what that was. Oh, I got to know what that was like. What was that like?
So it was fun because I got to open up also for like Frankie Beverly and Maze, Yarbo and People Gap Band in the beginning before we had records. And so the other guys, you know, you get to know them because I'm on, you know, you're in the bus. We're sharing a bus with Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5, and the Sequence.
That's dope.
You know?
Yeah.
And so you're stuck on a bus, well, not really stuck, but you're on a bus with these people, and so you got to get to know each other. And everybody got along pretty good, at least from my perspective. You know, we were pretty easy going, so we never had any friction with anybody.
Now, for those that don't know, the Sequence is a threesome female group who had that record that goes, "We gonna funk you right on up, we gonna funk you right on up." Yeah.
And also, you ever heard of Angie Stone?
Absolutely.
Yes. She was one of the Sequence. She was Angie B.
Yes.
From the Sequence.
Angie B. That's right.
I love this shit.
Yeah.
So
and in fact, if I'm not mistaken, they were from here, Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
We always thought they were from the Bronx. Okay, but okay.
Nah.
Yeah, they look like a bunch of soul sisters back then. Yeah.
But yeah, they were all nice.
Blondie, hey, that's me rapping to the beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But tell us about the record business back then. What was it like? I mean, this whole hip hop thing was a new frontier. How did you find your way through it, and give these kids nowadays an idea of what it was like back then?
Yeah, especially when you wanted to incorporate the Spanish part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I have to incorporate. That came a little bit before any record deals or anything. If you want me to talk about that, I could.
Please
go for it.
All right. So, how much time do we have?
About 20 more minutes.
Huh?
About 20 more minutes.
All right. So, basically, you know, I'll give it to you right from the beginning. My parents moved to South Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm.
I ended up, I lost my job, and then I lost my apartment. I became homeless.
Okay.
All right? And so then my father had hired the Mean Machine or asked them. I can't remember if he hired them or asked them to come play music in front of his store, so that way you draw a crowd, you draw a business.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that's how I got to meet those guys. But then when I became homeless, I had asked them, hey, could I carry your equipment for some food money? And so then I was sleeping in abandoned buildings, abandoned cars. And I knew that on the weekends I'd have a little bit of money and I wouldn't have to go steal, to eat.
That's right.
And so then I got to know them, and then one of the guys got locked up. And I'm making the story short because of the time.
Yeah, dude.
But so then Julio's son asked, hey, he knows the parts because I've been watching him. And so Julio kind of, and so then, long story short, they couldn't find a fill-in quick enough. So, all right, they gave me a shot, and it worked out.
Wow.
So then I did some shows with them. They kind of got me a little outfit, bought me some clothes, and cleaned me up, and I did some shows with them. It worked out fine. But then the dude came back, and I was back to Danny the Bum, carrying equipment. And so then, I'm shortening the story. The dude gets locked up again, this time I think for like 6 or 7 years. So then they're putting me in as a replacement until they find a permanent replacement.
Yeah.
So then that's when I got the idea of, man, let me do something in Spanish because nobody's doing it in Spanish. And so then, first of all, I missed one part, which I had a cousin that lived like 2 blocks away, but he let me stay with him for a few days, and then his wife wasn't liking that, so he told me in a nice way, you gotta go. But he did it in a nice way.
Yeah.
So I couldn't hold it against him. But, so I'm back, trying to write in Spanish and doing my thing and all that. And so since I was only in Puerto Rico for 3 school years over there, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, so I asked my cousin to help me out on some of these words. And he did. And, man, I had like a good bit of Spanish rhymes, and I couldn't use them anywhere. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell the group. We're doing this remote with WKTU.
Okay.
And it was either at Coney Island Beach or Brighton Beach or whatever. I can't remember which beach. But when we got there, man, it seemed like there were thousands of people, and there was nothing but gangs. I mean, it was just infested with gangs. And it was like half black and half Hispanic. So as I'm walking, a little fear came in me because you're out of your, you're not in your neighborhood.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So if something goes down, at least in your neighborhood, if you have to run, you know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at new territory. So and I'm like, dang, man, this is crazy. But nothing happened.
Nothing ever popped off, huh?
Right, nothing popped off. And, everybody's having their gang face on, no smiles or nothing.
But they were probably there just to have a good time. It was back when hip hop was to have a good time, not to fight, not to be all high on drugs.
You got to remember, man, we're all young, and these cats are like big, and so it was time for us to perform, and it was so crowded. They put us up on this platform that was, I want to say, it looked like it was part of the store, but it may have not been, but it put us up pretty high so everybody could see us. I don't care how far you were. Mm-hmm. And so then I thought to myself, this is where I'm going to try my Spanish rhymes. I didn't tell Julio, I didn't tell Jimmy, and I didn't tell Mr. Nice, the DJ.
Okay.
I just thought I would just grab something that kind of matches with what they're talking about. And so Jimmy did his part, Julio did his part. Then I opened my mouth and I throw out some Spanish. Then Jimmy and Julio looked. They both turned and looked at me because I'm in the middle. And like, I'm gonna kill you. They had that look. but then at the same time, the crowd roared, man. It sounded like thunder because you're talking about thousands of people out there.
Damn.
Just, because it was like, we got a representative now.
That's so cool.
And when we got off the stage, those people that I was looking at like, dang, this is a little scary. They were all high-fiving me and telling me, yo, that was nice.
Nice, dude.
And then after that, the guys started incorporating more Spanish.
Yeah.
And then after that, a little while after that, Julio and Jimmy, they showed up at Sugar Hill Records, and that's when they asked for that audition. And then, the story, the tape, I went there and we did it live.
Yeah.
That's how we got.
But
it's crazy because if I wouldn't have become homeless, I wouldn't have been a rapper.
You would have just been a background guy.
I wouldn't have been nothing because what got me into the door was I needed food, so I asked him, yo, let me carry a crate.
Yeah, played them dudes.
Yo, let me tell you something. From one MC to another, I've heard that song so many times. I got to tell you, your lyrical wordplay early on in the record, that hypnotizer, when you did that rapid fire flow, I was like, yo.
At one point, it sounded like Slick Rickish. I was like, dude, this dude was fucking,
absolutely.
Oh my
and
God.
I thought it was on the cutting edge for that time. The way you were doing that style, that rapid fire style, I thought it was ahead of its time then, and I still think that way now. Not to, you know what I'm saying? Not to ride you or nothing, but just seriously talking musically and rhythmically rapping.
Let me tell you something about that. When I wrote it, in my mind I'm thinking, I want something quick. But back then, that was fast. Today, it's not fast. You know what I mean? But back then, that was considered fast. So I thought, man, I'm going to sit down and try to write something fast. And I did it, and Jimmy liked it, man. So anytime we were practicing, Jimmy would always, boom, throw his voice in there, right?
Yeah.
And I could never do my line by myself in practice, because he liked it so much, he'd always, say it with me.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So the thing is, in the record it says, Mr. Schick, you're quick, so why don't you get on the mic and rap a little like this? Jimmy was just supposed to say the two first words. Sure shocking body rocking.
Yeah.
And then I take it from there. But in the studio, he just kept going with me all the way till the end of that line.
Yeah.
And so I'm, man, Jimmy, you weren't supposed to do that. And Miss Rob, Miss Rob, Robinson, we call her Miss Rob, which is
Sylvia.
I don't know, fitting.
Which is kind of fitting, Miss Rob. Hey-o.
Yeah. But so she said, I'll work it out. So what she ended up doing was fading his voice to mine. So what you hear is Jimmy's voice fading to my voice.
Okay.
Let me ask you really quick. We have about 10 more minutes, and I kind of want to know how the Dream Machine, eventually came to an unfortunate end. I'm a radio nerd, so I know it evolves around radio and then being on the Frankie Crocker show on BLS and saying some stuff. What do you remember about that?
Well, we're on Frankie Crocker show, and he asked us, how does it feel to have, the hot record for the summer? And Jimmy was the youngest cat in the group. He was so young, his mother had to sign for him when we got on Sugar Hill Records because he was underage.
Yeah.
And so he opened up his mouth and started talking about, some of our royalty money has been taken, and then that led us to, when we went back to Sugar Hill, they sat us down and told us, well, they didn't tell us, they yelled at us that we needed to stay out of the politics of the business, a bunch of stuff, and then they told us that we're going to sit you on the shelf. We're not going to record you anymore. You're going to fizzle out and die.
Wow. No.
And that was it. And then the thing about it, then they give us a royalty statement.
Okay.
And I mentioned this somewhere else, but they gave us a royalty statement, and our record is, SH Sugar Hill dash, I think it was 564.
Okay.
The number of our record. It was either 564 or 546. But they gave us a royalty statement from another record, which was called Super Wolf, and his was 546. They just switched the last two numbers.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I caught that quick. But you couldn't open up your mouth because everybody feared Joe Robinson, her husband, and because, word was out that he was mob affiliated, so
yeah.
Nobody, everybody knew what was going on, but nobody could open up their mouth and say, hey, or else, you're on the path.
Did they end up blackballing you guys, or did you guys try to pursue it somewhere else and it just wasn't happening anymore?
We had to wait for our contract to end. So I told the guys, look, I'm leaving, and I left and I came to South Carolina. There was other things that transpired, but because, you guys don't have a lot of time or whatever, but that's the short end of the story.
Oh, we can do this. We can definitely do a part two. This is on. We have only touched the surface. I would love to do this again if Mellow's up for it.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Sure. But anyway, I left and I came to South Carolina, and the guys, they kept trying. They waited out their time, and then they started trying to record. They recorded a few songs. I can't remember if it was about 4 or 5, maybe 6 songs. And, they tried getting other guys to do Spanish. But the few things that I've heard, it wasn't, because the thing about it is a lot of these New York cats, the Puerto Ricans out there that are born in New York, a lot of them, they don't keep up with their Spanish, and so, English becomes like their first language in Spanish. They speak it, but they don't speak it well. They speak it what we call in Spanish matao. They kill it.
Dead as fuck, yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's bad. So these guys are trying to rap, and it just sounded terrible, really, to be honest.
So did you just end up giving up music and just went a different path in life?
Yeah. Well, I tried Christian rap
Okay.
at first, but then the thing was, 1983, there was no such thing as Christian rap, so nobody was.
You were always
nobody.
He was always ahead of his time.
the
Always
fucking
ahead,
time,
because
yeah.
Gospel Gangsters was like 8 years later. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then nobody wanted to. It's like, that don't sound right. That's not Christian enough. Or this, they always give me some excuse. But then it's like 10 years later, I hear people doing Christian rap.
Big time.
Like,
It was huge in the 90s.
Yeah.
Man, amazing. Because they were still trying to get a hold of rap and understand regular rap, let alone Christian rap in '83.
Yeah. And so it never went anywhere, and that was about it.
Well, you inspired many people, and one who's sitting here with me right now who sold millions of records all across the world. And I know there's other people out there. We have literally like 3 minutes on our interface left before it cuts us off. But give us an idea of how you felt before we close out, of when you got that call from, or that connection with Mellow Man Ace, and knowing that you inspired us.
Okay. One of my little cousins, I don't know how he connected with him, Instagram or Twitter or whatever it was, but anyway, my cousin called me up, hey, the guy wants to talk to you, can I give him your phone number? I said, sure, just give him my phone number. And then Mellow called and we talked, we exchanged a few little stories, and here and there he was showing me love, and the thing about it was, he doesn't realize that I loved what he was doing, because I want to say this, when I first heard his record, I thought, man, somebody finally picked up the torch, because it was a little while before somebody ever did anything or attempted to do anything in Spanish again. Mm-hmm. So when he picked it up, and the thing about his style that was different than mine, see, mine was Spanish and English, but what he did was how we speak at home, Spanglish.
Spanglish.
Our sentences are half English, half Spanish.
Ahorita, whatever you...
Yeah, so you see where mine was separated. Mine, the two languages were separate. Yeah. He combined the two languages. The way all Hispanics do, like the second generation that comes here, we all do that. And so he took it to that next level. And
Thank you.
I felt proud because somebody picked up the torch,
Yeah.
You were the inspiration for me, brother. And I, right here, right now, live on the air, I just want to say thank you so much. You fathered a legion of soldiers, of MCs from Latin countries that you don't even know, and it was my mission to always give it back and pay it forward to you, and I'm glad that I did, man. I am so glad that I did, because your stories are golden, and you are just an incredible man, my brother. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And as a
and
as a hip hop fan myself, I definitely want to thank you for your contribution, and I'm sure everyone sitting in this room would like to say the same as well. We'd love to do a part 2 with you sometime in the near future, maybe next month or something, just to talk a little bit more, because I know you have more to talk about.
Anytime, man.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you, and you have a great day, Mr. Schick, and we'll be talking soon, all right?
All right.
I'll talk to you soon, big bro.
Peace, man.
All right. Bye.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. That couldn't have got any better. Thank you, Mellow Man Ace. Real quick before you go, give us where can we find you? What you got coming up next? I know you got this Southgate thing cracking. Tell me about it.
Absolutely. Be looking out for the new single called Southgate, based on where I come from. And you can find me. That's produced by my son, Kazal Organisms, by the way. And we're going to do a single, and the other one is called Before. Of course, produced by my son, Kazal Organism, as well. You can find me on Instagram at mellow_man_ace. The Facebook is always Mellow Man Ace, and Twitter is also mellow_man_ace.
Yes, it's always a pleasure, my man. Dre from Super Audio Network.
Yo, big up, Dre.
Always a pleasure, man. Such a professional dude. Where can we find you, Dre? Give us a shout out.
www.superaudionetwork.com. We can catch past episodes. You can catch our Twitter, Instagram, all in one place. We got a bunch of good dope shows. Shout out to Uncle Tom. Thank you. Shout out to Mellow Man Ace.
Yes.
I would love to have your son on the Freestyle Friday if he wants to compete.
Fridays he has a freestyle show here.
Freestyle.
Wow.
It's like a freestyle contest, and winner
or
gets
even
a
just come and hang out.
Yeah.
He's more of a producer
than
he is an MC, he likes to say. But
yeah, I mean,
I'm
That
sure they
sounds
can
fun,
connect
though,
on
you know what I'm
something.
saying?
Yeah, it is fun.
Dope.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.